We will be covering Chapter 14, Who's Minding the Store? The Ethics of Corporate Governance.
In my video, I will be talking about how the CEO and the board of directors should function within corporations. Next, I will talk about employee voice in the workplace and the benefits companies can experience. To end, I will be interviewing a few people and asking them a couple of questions related to what I covered in the video. In many large American business corporations, there exists a management autocracy, meaning one person is in power. One person, who is typically called the CEO, president, chairman, or chief executive officer, or a small group of people rule the corporation. This can be considered an executive clique, and this clique chooses the board of directors. All powers will be held by the CEO and board of directors, which can be seen as flawed because of their similar interests. As you can see with this type of system, decisions can be made that firstly do not represent everyone in the company, and secondly may be unethical. A few analysts in the textbook discuss how this can be avoided. For example, they talk about how a federal agency appointing general public directors to serve on the boards. They also talk about co-determination concepts. Professor Dahl from Yale expands on the concept of co-determination. He supports an argument that states employees and other groups substantially affected by corporate operations should have a say in its governance. He says, why would people who own shares be given the privileges of citizenship in the government of the firm when citizenship is denied to other people who also make vital contributions to the firm? This is an interesting question when you think about it. He's talking about employees and customers, who are the people who support the company, and it would not exist without them. He suggests the consideration of co-determination statutes, such as those enacted by West Germany and other European and South American countries, where shareholders and employees separately elect designated portions of the board. This sounds like a good idea. However, the authors of this section of the textbook claim although these in theory are good, there are problems with these because it is impossible to design a general interest group formula, which will assure that all affected people of the corporations will be represented and that all people will be given appropriate weight. It is suggested that each director is given a separate oversight responsibility, a separate expertise, so that each important public concern would be guaranteed at least one informed representative on the board. For example, there might be 9 corporate directors, each of whom is elected to a board position with one of the following oversight responsibilities: employee welfare, consumer protection, environmental protection and community relations, shareholder rights, compliance with law, finances, purchasing and marketing, management efficiency, planning and research. By requiring each director to balance responsibility for representing a particular social concern against responsibility for the overall health of the enterprise, the problem of isolated public directors would be avoided, and each director would spend the greater part of his or her time developing expertise in a different area. Each director would have a motivation to insist that different aspects of business decision would be concerned, yet each would simultaneously be responsible for participating in all board decisions. As briefly discussed in the textbook, employee voice in corporate governance plays an important role not only for the productivity of the company, but for the health and satisfaction of the individual employee. John McCall states that we as adults spend 1/3 to 1/2 of our adult lives at work. For most of us, that time is spent under direction from someone else. It is important that we are able to express our views and our individual human talents. We will now look at the benefits of employee voice in the workplace. The first benefit of allowing employees to voice their opinion in the workplace is that it produces higher productivity. When employees feel that their voices are being heard, for example, that their opinions and insights are being recognized, then they are more likely to be motivated in their work and work harder because they feel that they are valued. Compare it to a romantic relationship. If you feel that your voice is not being heard by your partner, you may start to shut down emotionally and eventually stop communicating and or putting an effort into that relationship. You feel like you are not being valued by that person. Next, it reduces absenteeism and turnover rates within the company. Employee turnover can become costly for the company because it takes time trying to find new employees and train them. It also costs money to recruit and train employees. Lastly, employee voice creates more innovation. People have innovative ideas that can help companies grow and thrive. If employees at any level feel that they are capable of expressing those ideas, it can greatly affect the company in a positive way. How much input, if any, do you think employees should have on decision making in businesses?
I think it's important for employees employees to have a say in their company, it's hard to say whether or not they should be the ones making decisions because there's so many of them. So if every employee had some input in the decision-making process, I don't think a decision would be made, but I think they do need to be represented fairly.
I think it's important for anyone in a company to have some sort of say in decision making. However, I think there is some sort of hierarchy that needs to be followed when it comes to a business and allowing it to run kind of effectively and smoothly, to where you really need to have someone in charge who, when people are kind of going back and forth about a subject, that they can kind of just come to a decision for the group and move forward with that decision, and everyone can be okay with that.
None.
Is that it?
I think they should only have input if they have experience or knowledge that is related to the decision being made. Otherwise, maybe not so much of a reason for them to have input.
Do you think anonymous reporting options are effective at forcing companies to adhere to safety and legal practices?
I think it's a good option for employees to have, to be able to anonymously report things that they are uncomfortable with in their company. However, if the executives of the company choose not to do anything with the anonymous reports, then I don't really think it's effective. I think there needs to be some accountability within the higher up of the company.
Yeah, I would say so. I think reporting anonymously is a good way in order to kind of convince employees to report something rather than feeling like the ramifications are going to fall back on them with someone else kind of finding out. And I think that is a good strategy as long as the business chooses to do something with it wisely.
I think that no matter which way stuff is being reported, I think whether it's anonymous or not, it all comes down to how it's handled. So I don't see there being a reason why anonymity should be like a huge factor in whether reports are handled.
Do you think that limiting CEO compensation would be more likely to prevent unethical decision making?
No, I don't think so. I think that if the CEOs themselves are already practicing corrupt behavior, I don't think limiting their salary is really going to do much, because the fact of the matter is that they're already going to be being paid millions and millions of dollars. So even if you cap that, it's still going to be a tremendous amount of money, and I don't think it's a way to change behavior. Their behavior is pretty set, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't think limiting their amount of money will change it.
No, I don't necessarily think that. I think even if you limit a CEO's salary, the kind of unethical practices that they're abiding by are making their company still kind of grow and like expand, and like giving money to their company in general, so that like maybe their salary for that year is less than it would be, say, other years, but like when they actually pay out and possibly like sell their company, like it's still going to be worth more, and like they're still going to be doing those practices no matter what, even though their salary would be limited.
Nah, people are pretty messed up.
True. Okay, thank you. And that concludes my video.